Hey everybody, welcome back to Fillmore series, episode 18, with cars revving up in Radiator Springs. We're on the grand finale of part 7 and final. We're going off to car gallery to see 8 cars. Once you complete every level, one car by one by one, will unlock each time when you have completed an adventure. So when you're at car gallery, there's information about these cars and trivia about it. And I'm going to read them out on my phone as well, which should be good. So off we go to the car gallery.
Congratulations, champ. Now you can check out the car gallery and learn some fun facts about the folks here in Radiator Springs.
Thank you.
Is a hotshot race car who met some friends in Radiator Springs, and they helped him learn that winning isn't everything.
Oh, that's excellent. Winning isn't everything. Winnings take losing. It doesn't matter when you win or lose. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's part of taking part of the game. So Lightning McQueen is a racer participating in the Piston Cup. McQueen is sponsored by Rust Ease Medicated Bumper Ointment, which uses the catchphrase, "With just a little Rusties, you could look like Lightning McQueen." However, he secretly disdains Rusties and hopes to be chosen for sponsorship by the much more glamorous and successful Dinoco oil company. He's certain Dinoco will offer to sponsor him if he wins the Piston Cup. At the beginning of the film, McQueen is portrayed as being ungrateful, obnoxious, selfish, and sarcastic. It is noted that he previously fired 3 crew chiefs. During the pit stop, he foolishly refuses the advice of his pit crew to replace his tires because he wants to remain in the lead. Winning isn't everything, of course. As a result, both rear tires blur out of the last lap. He narrowly avoids losing the race when he sticks out his tongue out, leading to a 3-way tie with Strip, the King, Webbers, and Chick Hicks. He subsequently insults his pit crew, leading to them to furiously and suddenly resign. Preparing to leave for California for the tiebreaker race, McQueen begins to realize he has no true friends. McQueen can see them where they're coming from. Winning isn't everything, of course, as I said. So, en route, he selfishly forces his big rig Mac to drive through the night, so they could reach California before their competitors. McQueen quickly falls asleep, therefore breaking his promise to stay awake with Mac. In turn, Mac becomes exhausted himself. After an unfortunate encounter with a quartet of tuner cars, McQueen becomes separated from Mac and speeds through the night in the desperate search of Mac, only to end up lost in Radiator Springs, a forgotten town along US Route 66, where he is soon arrested and impounded. It's no good and horrible, I'll say. So, in Radiator Springs, McQueen awakens and finds himself being taken to court for ruining the road of Radiator Springs. The local judge, Doc Hudson, orders McQueen to leave town immediately, but the other townsfolk, including his local attorney, Sari Carrera, vote to have Lightning McQueen repave the road as a show of power for community service, in which Doc agrees with. McQueen is then ordered to repave the road, but instead he attempts to escape town. He is quickly recaptured and forced to repave the road in order to regain his freedom. He doesn't do properly at first, but to take a break, he tries to accept help from Doc, but blows him off in the process. McQueen learns about the history of Radiator Springs and begins to relate to its inhabitants. A tow truck named Tow Mayor befriends him, and he falls with love with Sally. He also reveals an unusual history about Doc, who is revealed to be a former Piston Cup champion, whose racing career ended after a serious crash. After repaving the road and staying there, McQueen is free to leave Radiator Springs and resume his journey to California. However, he selflessly delays his departure just to show appreciation for his new friends and performing good deeds. During his time at Radiator Springs, McQueen's personality slowly begins to change. That's a really good thing for Lightning McQueen. He is going to be smart, friendly, kind-hearted, overconfident, sweet, serious, good-natured, selfless, positive, cool, courageous, impatient at sometimes, stubborn, determined, remorseful, and brave. That's all we love to see for Lightning McQueen, which is good. During the tiebreaker race in California, McQueen is unable to stop thinking about Radiator Springs and his new friends, causing him to lose focus. Soon he was surprised to see that Doc Hudson and some of his friends have followed him and taken on the role of his pit crew. Inspired by words of encouragement from Doc, McQueen races with renewed confidence when Hicks attempted to knock him off course. He recovers by proudly performing moves when he learned from Doc, particularly Doc Hudson's special turn and the mayor's skills, while McQueen was initially in Radiator Springs. During the final lap, the Piston Cup is clearly within McQueen's grasp. Hicks, realizing he is about to finish in last place, strikes Weathers from behind, sending him to a dangerous crash. On the truck's Jumbotron, McQueen witnesses the crash behind him, which is reminiscent of the crash that ended Doc's career 52 years before, in order to help Weathers finish his last race. McQueen stops finish suddenly before the race reaching the finishing line, essentially forfeiting the win. McQueen is nonetheless praised for his selfless sportsmanship, so much so that Dinoco's race team owner Tex offers him to hire him to succeed Weathers. McQueen declines, realizing that he should stay with Prestige Sponsors, who appreciates him for managing to get him where he was. Tex respects his decision and instead offers to do him favors anytime he needs it. McQueen uses a favor to gain a ride on the Dinoco helicopter for Mater, fulfilling Mater's dream. Lightning McQueen returns to Radiator Springs to establish his racing headquarters, putting the town back on the map and bringing success to all his friends. He resumes relationship with Sally and becomes Hudson's pupil. That's where things go back to normal, where McQueen has some very good true friends. That's a really great happy ending, that is.
Mater
Number 2.
A little rusty, but he has the quickest tote cable in Carburetor County and is always the first to lend a helping hand.
Very good. Mater runs Tow Mater Towing and Salvage, and is the first to befriend and support Lightning throughout his adventure in Radiator Springs. During the film, Mater shows Lightning how to do tractor tipping, just like in the second game, the mini game of course, we count up the tractors. And how to drive backwards without crashing in tractor tipping game, a technique which Lightning uses to counter Hicks during racing in the Piston Cup tiebreaker. In the end, McQueen asks Tesk to give Mater an opportunity to fly in the Dinoco helicopter like he always wanted, saying to Sally that Mater is his best friend. Awesome!
Fillmore is Radiator Springs' resident hippie, a believer in all things natural. He brews his own organic fuel.
Very clever. Fillmore is a supporting character in the Disney Cars franchise. He is a smooth-talking hippie VW Volkswagen minibus. Fillmore is the owner of Fillmore's Tasting, where he sells organic fuel. That reminds me of another Fillmore with Cornelius Fillmore from Fillmore, which is good. From Disney show. Fillmore has a calm nature, sporting the mood of peace of love. Fillmore's smooth personality often clashed with Sarge's strict nature, leading the two to butt into each other and argue. However, despite the two being polar opposites, Fillmore and Sarge are good friends and find things that they both agree on and enjoy doing together. Fillmore loves organic fuel and believes in conspiracies happening between oil companies and the government. He also believes that organic fuel is a way to bring peace and relaxation to the mind. Fillmore is a 1960 Volkswagen Type 2 bus to support the fact that he is an older car. Fillmore is painted light green, with peace, groovy and love painted on either side of his doors, as well as various swirl and flower designs on his front. He has a VW logo, as well as chrome headlights, and he has light green rims, surrounded by by black tire treads. He has a license plate on his front. Right, number 4.
Is a 1949 Mercury police cruiser. He's the keeper of the peace in Radiator Springs.
Sheriff was first seen when Lightning McQueen enters Radiator Springs, where he notices McQueen speeding when trying to catch up with Mac. There, Sheriff tries to stop him, but eventually evades him as McQueen ends up in the town of Radiator Springs. He then arrests Lightning McQueen for causing too much damage on the pavement. Sheriff next appears when he tells Mayo to take McQueen to the traffic court to know who is responsible for damaging the pavement, in which he presents the town's judge, Doc Hudson, in which McQueen must pay asphalt on the damaged road. After the plan to repair the damaged road was unsuccessful and rushed, Sheriff later appears challenging McQueen and Doc in a race at Ridley's birthday, in which the race was unsuccessful due to McQueen crashing into cactus. Sheriff orders Lightning McQueen to continue working on the road all the night. And when he runs out of asphalt, Sheriff allows him to go to Willie's butty so he can practice turning onto the dirt track. Sheriff continues watching McQueen the next morning, and when Doc arrives to the scene, he allows Sheriff to go get a quarter of oil at Flo's Cafe while offering to keep an eye on the race car, which Sheriff happily obliges to. Later, when McQueen meets Sheriff, having an appointment with Doc Hudson, he asks Doc to get daily cash ration for him, in which Doc explains that he can talk to him after his appointment. At Flo's V8 Cafe, Sheriff waits for Lightning McQueen, who comes in and asks if anyone knew about that Doc was a famous race car. Sheriff becomes bewildered and believes that the heat is starting to give Lightning McQueen hallucinations. Sally gives gas to McQueen, in which he feels worried that McQueen may cause trouble again. Then McQueen thinks about running off. Sheriff turns on his flashes and prepares to chase after McQueen. However, McQueen decides against it and goes with Sally on a drive, causing the sheriff to turn off his flashes, where he immediately develops a mutual liking to the race car. Later, when Mater comes into town with a herd of tractors following him, Sheriff scolds Mater as he handles the tractors, while Mater tries to deny that he went tractor tipping. When the load is finished the next day, Sheriff starts crying, thinking McQueen has gone to his race, though he denies his sadness and says he's glad McQueen is gone. However, Sheriff becomes overjoyed to see that McQueen has not left and offers to get on giving McQueen a police escort so he can make it to his race. But McQueen decides to get tires to help prepare for the race and does shopping spree around Radiator Springs. And then everyone turns on their stalls, newly fixed neon lights. Sheriff parties around with his friends and tells Maida and Sally to wait for the stoplight to turn green as herd of tractors cross the road. The party is cut short when Mac and the other fans find McQueen and take him to the Los Angeles International Speedway. To Doc reporting McQueen's whereabouts, Sheriff is heartbroken to see McQueen get taken away and goes home. Doc, regretting his decision, informs his friend his days in the race car, so Sheriff and the Sheriff and the rest of the town leave to go to Speedway, except for Red, Sally, and Lizzie, who watch McQueen's race on TV in Radiator Springs. There he and the other inhabitants, which watch McQueen racing in McQueen didn't ring, and later Chip Hicks getting booed off for his notorious actions. During the epilogue, after Radiator Springs is put back on the map due to McQueen moving his racing headquarters The delinquent road hazards pass through sheriff, who is sleeping as he arrests them for speeding and as a punishment. The group is forced to use Busy to pave the road. Later, sheriff continues spending time and having fun with his friends. That is a happy ending. So, here's Guido, number 5.
Luigi's assistant and his best friend. Like his boss, Guido is an avid racing fan.
Guido is nice and friendly, along with being helpful, like when performing pit stops with Lightning McQueen. He's also fast talking show when he speaks in Italian. Although he usually speaks Italian, due to that he comes from Italy, he can speak several English words such as pit stop, although he sometimes pronounces as Pete stop. Okay, bus and modify. He can sometimes get angered at times, such as when he's teased by the hostile takeover bank team. Additionally, he's determined, as shown for what he tried to stop, make sure he makes a good pit stop. Here's Red.
The gentle giant, a big, strong fire engine who's painfully shy.
Red spends a normal night watering his flowers around the statue of the founder of Radiator Springs, Stanley, by the courthouse. When race car Lightning McQueen drives out of his control in town after getting lost, Ray immediately takes cover and becomes shocked of when McQueen accidentally destroys his flowers before watching him demolish the road and dragging Stanley's statue with him. McQueen then manages to cause Stanley's statue to fly off into the air and land safely back to his proper place. When McQueen comes into court the next day, Red angrily glares at him and watches the town's judge, Doc Hudson, arrive and orders McQueen to leave town immediately. However, the town's attorney Sally Carrera arrives and Red, along with the other townsfolk, agrees with her to have McQueen fix the road, so Doc sentences him to community service. As Lightning McQueen fixes the road by pulling Bessie, he gets his lightning bolt sticker covered in oil and asks Red to help clean it off. But Red takes the flowers he was watering and drives away as he is still resentful towards the race car for killing his flowers last night. When McQueen tries to speed up his progress, Red is horrified to see the road all bumpy
to go back to the menu.
and drives away crying when McQueen makes a mean comment about it. Later, Red watches the Lightning and Doc do a long lap race around Willie's buggy and looks confused when Doc stays in the starting line when the race before watching him drive, taking Mater along with him. Red witnesses McQueen fall into the cactus pit where he is dished out by Mater and forced to fix the road at a slower pace. The next day, when the half of the road is fixed, Red joins his friends in playfully driving on the new road, as McQueen continues to fix the road. Red cleans the leaning tower of tires at Luigi's Casadella tires, before he is asked by Sally to clean McQueen, who was covered in bits of cactus after failing to make another turn on the dirt track. Red takes McQueen by surprise by spraying him with his hose and getting every bit of cactus off him, before he's thanked by Sally and leaves. On the next day, Red is seen at Flo's V8 Cafe, where Lightning announces that Doc is used to be famous race car, but nobody believes him. Red then watches Lightning leave, with Sally to go out for a drive. Later, Red waters his flowers again by the courthouse, while Ramon paints the yellow broken lines to the new road, when they see a stampede of tractors coming towards them. Red, not wanting his flowers to get destroyed again, honks his horn very loudly while most of the tractors tip over while the rest of them roam around town. Then Lightning McQueen finishes fixing the road when the next morning Red believes McQueen has already left to go to do his race in California and drives away crying as Red apparently started taking a liking to the race car. However, McQueen did not leave and Red watches him to get new tires for Luigi and Guido. After McQueen gets a breakover, Red turns on radio after Lizzie forgets to do something where all the town's shops uni fix neon lights on. turned on. Red then joins his friends by partying around and having fun before the press suddenly arrives and takes McQueen away due to being informed of McQueen's whereabouts by Doc. Red sadly watches McQueen leave before going home. Doc, regretting his decision, tells everyone of his time being a race car and grabs a handful of Radiator Springs residents to support McQueen at the race in California, while Red, Lizzie, and Sally stay behind. As Red, Lizzie, and Sally on the race on TV, Red chuckles on when Lizzie forgets that Doc is at the race. She sees him on TV. Red continues to cheer for Lightning and smiles when he sees him for Joe. He has a chance to win the piston cup by helping the King cross the finish line after Chick Hicks caused him to crash. Radiator Springs is then put back on the map after McQueen sets up his race headquarters there, and Red continues spending time and having fun with his friends. That's a happy ending, that is. Number 7.
If Sarge isn't busy running the local army surplus store, he can often be found manicuring his lawn with strict precision.
Sarge is both tough and militaristic, but is nonetheless kind to his friends, although he has a tendency to lose his temper, which is no good. Just like Donald anyway, but he's still kind, well, absorbed really, especially towards Fillmore. Sarge, who is his polar opposite. While the two are often yelling at each other, they are the best of friends and are able to spend time together and find things they actually agree on. Sarge is a former fighter in the war, specializes in army knowledge, and loves the chance to train anyone who is in need of off-road training, whether it's the students at this boot camp or Lightning McQueen. Sarge seems to be very protected over Radiator Springs and his friends. One night in Radiator Springs, Sarge and Fillmore watch the stoplight's yellow light blink from Flo's V8 Cafe. Fillmore comments on every third blink and gets slower when Sarge responds if the 60s were not good for him. Suddenly, Sarge, Fillmore, and Ramon see race car Lightning McQueen arrive at Radiator Springs, where he's being pursued by sheriff. When McQueen starts driving out of control, Sarge immediately takes cover and witnesses McQueen accidentally destroy the town's road by dragging a statue of the town's founder, Stanley, with him, and then watches Stanley's statue fly in the air before it lands back into its proper place. McQueen is put on the trial on the next day. That's when it's happened. Sarge goes to court and angrily glares at Lightning McQueen for causing so much trouble. Sarge then sees the town's judge, Doc Hudson. Doc Hudson enters the courtroom to orders McQueen to immediately leave town, and when the town's attorney, Sally Carrera, arrives, Sarge greets her. As Sally makes a speech of the history of Radiator Springs where travelers come and go, Sarge demanded to know what travelers, but Fillmore said to everyone to ignore it. Sarge then supports Sally's decision to have McQueen fix the road, and was sentenced to community service. Sarge and with Fillmore and the sheriff watch McQueen fix the road by pulling Bessie from Flo's V8 Cafe. When Fan and Minnie arrive in Radiator Springs, Sarge tries to offer some of his surplus, only to be declined, and sadly watches the two cars leave town. When McQueen tries to speed up his progress, where he makes the road bumpy, Sarge watches Doc challenge McQueen to a race where he witnesses fall into the captain's pit after failing to make a turn on the dirt track. After that, Sarge watches McQueen scrap off the bumpy road and reacts in disgust when Fillmore offers the race car some of his organic fuel, calling it freak juice. Okay.
Doc Hudson
Here's Doc Hudson.
And admired by the townsfolk for the way he
Sarge.
looked out for their health and
Sarge's
tended to their aches and pains.
personality is formerly cranky and grumpy. Currently, Infinity is heroic, kind-hearted, grandfatherly, caring, supportive, serious, strict, selfless, wise, intelligent. Wait, that's not Sarge's personality, I'm sorry. It's Doc Hudson's personality. So Doc is portrayed as a grumpy old man who wants to leave his racing career behind after a painful rejection of the racing world and stay out of the public light. Doc enjoys peace and quiet and loves the town of Radiator Springs and its citizens. However, despite his fondness for his friends, he never told them of his past of being a race car, as he wanted to forget and distance from himself for anything that reminded him of his past. Even though Doc never told his friends about his past, he did felt shame but and regret for lying to them about what he used to be. So that's everything you got to know about the cars. Basically, the 8 characters. So, thanks for watching the walkthrough gameplay of Cars Revving Up and Radiator Springs and Beastmail series. Hope you enjoyed it. So please subscribe, comment, and like, and I'll see you again in the next episode of Beastmail series. So see you real soon. Bye bye.